Welcome back to another FPL video. This will be the final team selection ahead of Game Week 9. If you want to see how I did in Game Week 8, then check out the initial team selection video I uploaded last week. And there's also much more content like the transfer tips and also 2 rating your teams videos where I go through 29 teams in total across both of those videos there. If you end up enjoying this one, then smash the like button and subscribe for new. Our aim will be to get to 21,000 subscribers by the Tuesday deadline stream for UCL Fantasy, and of course for FPL there'll be a deadline stream Saturday morning UK time, so be sure not to miss it. It's already set up on the channel. But without further ado, let's jump straight into this video. One thing that hasn't changed is my thoughts on the goalkeeper. I'm looking to start Turner over Areola, with West Ham facing Aston Villa away, whilst Nottingham Forest hosts Luton Town at home. A much better chance of a clean sheet on paper, but if I'm being completely honest, I think Luton Town will score in this game, but I'm looking at that Aston Villa fixture, and I think they could score 2 or 3 past West Ham. So let me know what goalkeeper dilemmas you have this week. It always seems like there's something, and of course, some of you may be asking, should I start Onana or Turner? I have a sneaky feeling actually about Onana over Turner this week, but then again, I've started Onana over Turner countless times this season, and it hasn't really paid off, with 2 possible exceptions. The back 3 is fairly settled, and Matty Cash faces West Ham at home. I'm not expecting a clean sheet here either, but the attacking potential that Matty Cash offers is the reason why a lot of us brought him in on the wild card. Those fixtures and the attacking threat is what really makes Cash an appealing asset, but in terms of clean sheet likelihood, I don't really see it against West Ham. It's not impossible, of course, but I think West Ham are certainly capable of scoring at least 1 goal in this fixture. As for the second defender though, Dan Burn has a very good chance of a clean sheet, facing a Crystal Palace side that have so many injury problems, and they had a goalless draw against Nottingham Forest in Game Week 8. And I think with all these injuries they have in the attacking positions, Palace will be more focused on keeping teams out and keeping things tight at the back. So this could be maybe a lower scoring game. Newcastle will be the favourites to win it, of course, but you would expect the Toons to get the clean sheet as well. And that's why a double up in Newcastle this week could be fantastic, with a Trippier and then a sort of cheaper defender like Cher, Botman or Dan Burn. It looks like Botman could be back for Game Week 9. Let's keep an eye out for updates. If he isn't back, then I could go for Lascelles as well, who's currently on my bench, and I could go for a double up in Newcastle defensively in Game Week 9. The final defender is a very simple one, Destiny Udogie at home to Fulham. He also played against England the other day for Italy, and he's had a very good season so far, but I have to say maybe in recent weeks he has tailed off a little bit and he hasn't put in the best performances, but he's a young talent, he's got a lot of potential, and facing Fulham at home, I think Spurs have a good chance of a clean sheet, although in the long term, I wouldn't recommend a double up in Spurs defensively, and I also think you could go away from the triple up, even with the 2 attackers of Son and Maddison. People are getting a bit colder on Diaby following his blank in Game Week 8, but I still think he's a good option. And heading into Game Week 10, where some people are thinking of selling Diaby when he faces Luton Town, I'm not so sure if I would go ahead with such a move. Maybe you can sell him now ahead of West Ham in Game Week 9, or later on like Game Week 13 or 15. But I think if you have Diaby, he is worth holding on. And of course, you want to see some returns and consistency from him, but he's had a good start to his Aston Villa career, and I think he'll push on, and once he gets fully bedded into that side, I think Diaby could be the best Aston Villa option period, even over Ollie Watkins, but that might take some time, of course, and he offers tremendous value around 6.7 million. Next up is a possible transfer I could make, so I could sell Ward-Prowse to a Gordon or even possibly a Neto, and what that would also do is give me enough funds to upgrade my 5th defender to a Gabriel or Botman if he returns from injury. And Gordon faces Crystal Palace at home, and all the algorithms are very favourable with Gordon, and he is one of the highest scoring players over the next 5 to 10 game weeks in terms of budget midfielders or mid-price midfielders there. So he's still at 5.6 million. He has just returned from suspension, and I think he's a great option in the long term, as Newcastle have the best fixtures over the next 10 game weeks according to Fantasy Football Hub and other algorithms with the FDR as well. So Gordon is in my thoughts, and he was also close to making it to my final wildcard squad, but because of a suspension, I decided to go elsewhere. He could come in though as 1 free transfer in Game Week 9, and that's something I will weigh up in the deadline stream as well, and that will be the final decision to make. If I don't make this transfer, I'll have 2 in Game Week 10, and that's where I can go into some of the transfer plans I'll talk about later on in this video and bring in some Arsenal players as well. The third midfielder on screen here is Mohamed Salah, one of the best captaincy options on paper in Game Week 9. He faces Everton at home in the early kickoff, and that's probably going to be a bit alarming for some of you watching. Early kickoff is not really synonymous with FPL points from your captain in basically the last few seasons, not just in this campaign. It's always been a bit of a problem. In Game Week 7, Watkins got a hat-trick and 2 assists against Brighton in the early kickoff, but not many people captain him, if we're being quite frank. In terms of popular captaincy choices in early kickoffs, it really goes down well. But I have to say, I think Salah will return here. Maybe he won't get a massive double-digit return, but I think he will score or at least assist and provide a return of some sort. So he is a great captaincy option. He's personally in my top 2 alongside Erling Haaland, but you've also got other considerations to make, even in the Spurs midfield. James Maddison is one of them, but more importantly, I'm looking at the striker, Heung-min Son, who has been nursing an injury problem in recent weeks. And in terms of home matches, Maddison hasn't produced a single return in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, whilst Heung-min Son is capable of doing that, and Maddison has been getting all his returns away from home. So I think if you're looking to captain Spurs players in the future, it would be Maddison away from home and Heung-min Son in home matches. But in Game Week 10, a very popular move will be Son to Saka, and I'll discuss this later on in this video as well. Bukayo Saka is expected to be back for Game Week 9 against Chelsea. That was the latest update I saw basically last weekend. So let's see if we get any concrete updates in the next couple of days. But I'm very happy with this midfield 5, even if I don't go with that final transfer of Ward-Prowse to Gordon. The front 2 speaks for itself. I've had Watkins for 6 out of 8 game weeks, so it has been a bit frustrating for him not to have registered a single goal in that time frame. All 4 of his goals have come when I sold him, but he has been getting the assists more often than not. Only 1 blank this season, and you can't really, begrudge his consistency. But I want to see some more goals, of course, whilst he's in my team, and they certainly will come with the fixtures coming up as well. And the last forward is Erling Haaland, of course, at home to Brighton, and this could be a perfect time to captain him in a way where a lot of people are looking to sell, or they're not even considering for the captaincy. They think he's suddenly terrible without Kevin De Bruyne. Let's not forget he's got 8 goals in 8 games alongside 1 assist and fantastic underlying numbers such as 15 big chances. He has been not clinical, let's say, in some games like West Ham away a few weeks ago, but Haaland is still capable of some great things and some massive returns. And the way Brighton are defending, you saw it against Liverpool last week when Brighton were in control and they really should have been out of sight in the first half, but they made some basic errors, let Liverpool back into it, and Salah punished them and got a 15-point return. So those that went for Salah last week will be thinking quite similarly with Haaland this week in terms of targeting that Brighton defence, which has been woeful this season. They've conceded the 2nd most amount of goals of any team in the Premier League. So despite the XG, which is incredible, the amount of chances they create, and the fantastic football that the Zerbi produces weekly, I still think they're there to be targeted defensively, and Man City could easily score 3 or more goals. I've made 1 change to the bench order, and that's Lascelles' first sub, Anderson is now 2nd, and Cameron Archer remains 3rd, with Areola also being the backup goalkeeper. But it all depends on Sven Botman. If he's back and it looks like he's going to start in Game Week 9, then Lascelles could move 2nd to my bench. But if we get the news that Botman is going to be benched or that he's not going to be available for Game Week 9, I could actually start Lascelles over Matty Cash, or even possibly someone like Diaby. If I don't go for Ward-Prowse to Gordon and I save that free transfer, Lascelles could just start over Ward-Prowse, and that would be my starting 11 with a double up in Newcastle defensively. So a lot will depend on the Botman news, and also over the next few days my final decision on whether I roll the transfer and remain patient with Ward-Prowse, since I only had him for 1 game week after all, or I go a bit more aggressive and go for Gordon, target those great fixtures starting from Game Week 9. And we have to say Crystal Palace are solid defensively, and I'm not expecting Newcastle to score 3 or more goals, but a 1 or 2-0 is possible, and Gordon could certainly be involved. With Harvey Barnes out in the long term, I think Gordon is a great option for the next couple of months, really. In terms of the captaincy, I still think the same as I did a few days ago, and that's Erling Haaland as the number 1 pick to target Brighton, and Salah being 2nd. I won't lie to you, I think the early kickoff does play a part in my mind and my thinking. I still think Salah's a great option, by the way, and that he will return, but I think Haaland is capable of a brace or even possibly a hat-trick in Game Week 9, and the other big consideration would be Heung-min Son. But apart from that, I don't think anyone else in my starting 11 would really classify as a captaincy option. I think the other one that I don't have would be Kieran Trippier. He would make it it into my top 5 very easily. But in terms of those that I have, I think Erling Haaland first, Salah second, and Heung-min Son third. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I put a poll out on my channel, and over 50% of you went for Erling Haaland, and I think Salah had about 20 to 30% of the vote in second place as well. So similar thinking, I think, with the community there, and I want to see how things change by the deadline, of course. But that is my bench order currently, and the captaincy, my possible transfer there of Ward-Prowse to Gordon. Let me know down in the comment section, would you do that transfer, or would you just hold on to Ward-Prowse? And the other alternative is going to Pedro Neto to target Bournemouth away. But of course, Wolves do have some tough fixtures coming up, including Newcastle in Game Week 10. So there's a lot to think about, of course. Let's now head over to Drafthound and fpl.team, where I'm going to discuss a few other intricacies about my FPL squad. There is a link to Drafthound in the description below, and what they suggest is Ward-Prowse out to Gordon, and the second transfer is Diaby to Gordon, and this also includes long-term fixtures in mind. As you can see with expected points, Gordon is higher than Ward-Prowse over the next 3 game weeks, and not only that, he is cheaper, and that would give me enough funds to then also bring in Gabriel or Botman for Lascelles as an example. So it would be really beneficial to me, and I was considering going for Neto or Gordon in my wildcard squad and going for Gabriel from the get-go, benching him against Man City. But in the end, I decided to go with this sort of structure, and I've still got the flexibility to make these moves in Game Week 10 as well. But Ward-Prowse to Gordon is a serious consideration for me this week, and Drafthound also highly recommends it. And in terms of the captaincy, they do actually favour Salah over Erling Haaland. So if we use this optimization tool, the green wand here, if you can call it a wand, I click the optimize tool, and Salah's the captain, and they also change the bench order slightly as well, with Archer first sub, Anderson second, and Lascelles third. That's what Drafthound recommend. I think earlier this week and even last week they had Haaland as the #1 pick, but they have now put Salah just marginally beating the Norwegian robot. So that is the optimization tool with Drafthound and the suggested transfer. It is very good, I have to say, and I'm also thinking of something similar with my transfer plans, but in the end, I could end up holding and rolling, as I talked about in the initial team selection video, and saving 2 free transfers for Game Week 10. FPL.team is a fantastic free resource which can be used to visualize your team in future game weeks, and what you can see on screen is if I bring Gordon in for Ward-Prowse, my expected points goes up to 64.5, because with James Ward-Prowse it actually is 62.6. That's a massive difference of expected points, of course, but I don't base many of my decisions on expected points. It's worth considering, and I find it interesting at times to compare whether I should roll or make a transfer, but it is actually quite a significant number of points, and also bearing in mind that Ward-Prowse is also more expensive as well. The alternative, which I have to say is the least likely that I'm going to do in Game Week 9, but still possible, is bringing in Pedro Neto instead of Gordon for Ward-Prowse, and the expected points only goes up by 0.1 to 62.5. So according to FPL.team and these algorithms, I should be bringing Gordon for Ward-Prowse this week. But the reason why I could end up just holding and being patient, because obviously apart from Ward-Prowse having great fixtures from Game Week 10 onwards and his fantastic consistency, is I could also make 2 free transfers in Game Week 10 of Heung-min Son to Saka, and also bringing in Gabriel for Lascelles, and I could even bench a Dan Burn or a Doggy in Game Week 10, and my expected points also goes up to 63.8. I think it'd be even higher if I put Dan Burn in for Doggy, it goes up by 0.5 in terms of expected points, and also Areola in for Turner, of course, and then it goes up to 65. So yeah, there's a lot to think about, I have to say, and Gordon does face Wolves away in Game Week 10. Good long-term fixtures, of course, but I might end up just holding, and that would enable me to go for 1 or 2 Arsenal players in Game Week 10, and the possibility, or the alternative even, is to go for Sven Botman instead of Gabriel and double up on Newcastle defensively. So there's a lot to mull over, of course. Do I go for Gordon in for Ward-Prowse this week, or do I roll and have 2 free transfers in Game Week 10? That's going to be the big debate for me. At the moment, I am leaning towards Gordon in, but that is not set in stone, of course, and it could just be what I said in the team selection video last week, and end up just rolling and being patient. So I want to see your thoughts down in the comment section below in terms of what you would recommend, who is the best captain for Game Week 9, and give your reasons why. And thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it useful, then be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this video to the 300 likes. Let's keep on pushing towards 21,000 subscribers and beyond. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the links in the description below for the Patreon. channel memberships, Discord server, and the FPL League. All of that is there. I wish you all the best of luck for Game Week 9 and the rest of the season, and I'll see you next time.